Oh, sure. Welcome to Troy Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, March 9th. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Ehrlich.
Here.
Mr. Westmeyer.
Here.
Mr. McGarry. Mayor.
Here.
Mr. Titterington.
Here.
Mr. Wolke.
Here.
Mr. Caprich.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, we have had disseminated and given to us our minutes of our February 23rd meeting. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes?
To approve.
Motion to approve. Is there
I'll second.
Mr. Westmeyer, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They stand approved. Okay, the first matter on the agenda is the Downtown Riverfront Overlay District, the Lincoln Community Center. Does staff have a report?
Yes, sir. So the Lincoln Community Center is requesting the Planning Commission to review the accessory use in the side yard of the property located at 110 Ash Street using the DRO process. The property is currently zoned R6, two-family residential. This DRO consideration includes the property located at 130 and a half Ash Street. That's pending a replat and transfer to the city of Troy. Some items that are included are spinner equipment, Calvin the Caterpillar, and a swing set. We also cannot forget about Harry the Hippo. The zoning code requires accessory uses and structures to be
Excuse me,
Yes, sir.
that was a joke, right?
That was
Nobody snickered.
That was a joke. Yours was not earlier out, that one was.
I just want to make sure everybody understood that.
So the zoning code requires accessory uses and structures to be located in the rear yard. All other aspects of the project do meet the requirements of the zoning code. This is the first step in the DRO process, which is the first reading of the proposal to the Planning Commission. A second public hearing is required at our next scheduled meeting, and that will conclude my staff report.
Any questions of staff?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
so this is a side yard, and I know that the staff, we had discussed this possibly because technically it's a city facility, it's on city property. We still try to follow the procedures as much as we can. We had a couple of different ways to go here. One was the DRO, and the other one would have been to maybe consider it as a city facility, more like parkland, I think we were thinking. And just because, if you recall, throughout the history, a few years ago, the building was owned by the city, the land underneath was owned by the schools, the land behind the building was owned by the park board. After a lot of chess piece moving, we got it all combined as city property. It is the subject of a written lease. That lease is between the Community Improvement Corporation and the Lincoln Community Center Board as authorized by the City Council. So it's a relatively complex piece of property. There have been some acquisitions of land that we've wanted for ease and to keep the lease as clean as possible, because this is the first lease that we've actually had in writing since the early 1900s or whenever LCC started. So we wanted to be as clean as possible, and that's why we decided to go, and as transparent as possible, and that's why we decided we wanted to go the DRO route. It required Lincoln Community Center to take the piece of property on which the playground equipment in the garage would sit to be combined with the main piece of property so that we have a clean attachment to the lease. And so by doing that, then this technically became part of the side yard, but it is the only area that they can do all their activities in the back as well as do these activities. So again, we felt like we needed to go through this two-step process or two-meeting process just to be as transparent as possible.
Thank you. You mentioned two alternatives, though.
The other alternative would have been
Variance.
a variance that requires you to meet some hardship standards, and so that was not really, that wouldn't really apply.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question. I mean, I understand the overlay district, okay? There is no boundary line for it, though. Even though it's termed downtown riverfront overlay district, it's not just for the downtown and riverfront, is that correct?
That is correct. It exceeds outside the historic district. Essentially, for those, it goes kind of along the river to the north, and then it shoots down all the way over by Penn Avenue, along the railroad tracks over there on West Main, and goes all the way south to, I guess it would be, runs down Ridge Avenue to West Market, and hits the east side almost all the way to the bridge area and back. So it's a large area.
There's a boundary line.
Correct, yeah, there is a set boundary line,
Okay,
yes.
so it's not citywide, but it's still within that boundary line.
That's correct,
Okay,
yep.
thank you. Any other questions of staff? Anybody want to take any action on whether or not,
Well, we do have to.
Action.
well, yeah,
No action.
there's no action on
It's
this.
automatic.
Never mind. No other questions or any other discussion?
I guess one area of possible concern, depending on the attendance at the next meeting, could we have a problem if, I don't know if you two are going to have to abstain or not.
Why would you abstain?
I would abstain only, I mean, I don't have a financial interest in it, but I would abstain because I'm the one who signed the application as the property owner.
I guess the
the
question
mayor did
also
not.
goes to the mayor, because she's the representative of the city of Troy, knows the property.
But she didn't sign the application, so we can double check with Graham.
Yeah, if you would.
That would be my only concern.
Yeah.
Like if it were at this meeting, it would have to be unanimous. Well,
Yeah,
let's hope everybody's here.
well, I think too, if you would check with Grant, that'd be great. Okay. Staff, anything else to come before the commission today?
Just one item I failed to mention at the last meeting. I see him in the back of the room, and I didn't make a formal introduction, and I don't know if Mark has formally been introduced to the planning commission. And so it was a shorter meeting. I thought I'd make it worth your while, your drive here, that maybe we have Mark come up and introduce himself to you guys.
Did he know you were going to do this?
He did not.
Sir, if you don't mind giving us your name, address, and social security number.
Sure. Mark Wendling, I was recently appointed, greatly appreciate, as the director, assistant director of public service and safety for the city of Troy. And big shoes to fill, Tom Funderburg having retired, but it's been really good so far. This is just starting my third month. So I've met several of you before, but not all of you, so appreciate being here.
More importantly, he hails from Fairfield, Ohio,
Yeah, that is true.
which is where I was raised.
Yeah.
So-
That did not come up in the interviews.
Thank you.
Well, welcome aboard.
Thanks.
Good to have you.
Fitting in quite well.
Anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Westmeyer,
Second.
Mr. Turton, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?